Welcome to a celebration of the Declaration of the Bab for the Baha'i House of Worship for North America in Wilmette, Illinois.
"12 years ago, when I built my home, wherein this temple model and design were made, I made a flower garden, and the form of this garden was a great bell. Many asked why the garden was a bell. This bell, I told them, was the greatest musical instrument we have. It is the conveyor of sound to the greatest distance. It conveys our sorrows and our joys. And when the world was in distress, I hung out this great bell. Now it has happened that this temple, coming from the realm of Baha, is in the form of a bell. It is the great bell calling to America. Will they hear it?" Louis Boussois, architect of the North American Baha'i House of Worship.
The tablet of the Baal. He is the all-glorious. This is the garden of paradise, wherein arise the Athens of God, the help in peril, the self-subsisting, wherein ascend the soul-entrancing melodies, wherein abide the maidens of heaven, whom none have been touched save God, the all-glorious, the Most High, and wherein lieth ensured that which draweth the needy to the shores of the ocean of true wealth, and guideth the people, the word of God. And this verily is naught but the manifest truth.
By thy name he, verily, thou art he, O thou who art he. O Hood, prophet of the divine decree, sound the clarion in the name of God, the all-glorious, the most bountiful. For the temple of holiness has been established upon the seat of supernal glory. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O countenance of immortality, pluck with the fingers of the Spirit that sacred and wondrous strings. For the beauty of the divine essence has appeared, arrayed in a silken vesture of light. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou beside whom there is none other but he.
This is the tablet of the bell, written by Baha'u'llah in his own hand in Istanbul in 1863, to honor the momentous declaration of the Bab, which signaled the coming together of all the peoples of the world.
O angel of light, sound a blast upon the trumpet at the advent of this revelation, for the letter Ha hath been joined to the letter of the ancient glory. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O nightingale of heaven, warble upon the boughs of the celestial garden.
In the name of the beloved, for the beauty of the rose hath appeared from
behind an impenetrable veil. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou
besides whom there is none but he.
O songster of paradise, trill out upon the twigs in these wondrous days, for God hath cast his effulgent rays upon all created things. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O bird of eternity, soar aloft in these heights, for the bird of faithfulness hath soared in the atmosphere of divine nearness.
Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O denizens of paradise, sing out and chant in the sweetest of tones, for the melody of God hath been raised within the tabernacle of matchless sanctity. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O inmates of the kingdom, intone the name of the beloved, for the beauty of his cause hath shone forth from behind the veils, adorned with the luminous spirit.
Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O dwellers of the kingdom of names, bedeck the furthest reaches of heaven, for the most great name is come. Riding on the clouds of transcendent majesty, praise be thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O inhabitants of the dominion of divine attributes in the realm of glory, make ready to enter the presence of God, for the soft breezes of holiness have wafted from the sanctuary of the divine essence, and this verily is a conspicuous bounty. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O paradise of the divine unity, rejoice within thyself, for the paradise of God, the most exalted, the all-powerful, the all-knowing, hath appeared. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O heaven of grandeur, render thanks unto God within thine inmost being, for the heaven of holiness hath been upraised in the firmament of a heart of stainless purity. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O sun of worldly dominion, eclipse thy face, for above the horizon of a resplendent morn there have shone the rays of the day star of eternity. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O earth of knowledge, swallow up thy learning, for the earth of true knowledge hath been outspread through him who is the self of God, the all-glorious, the all-bountiful, the Most High.
Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O lamp of earthly sovereignty, put out thy light. For the lamp of God hath been lit within the niche of eternity, and hath illumined all that are in heaven and all that are on earth. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O seas of the world, still the pounding of your waves, for a most wondrous cause hath made the surged crimson sea.
Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O peacock of the divine unity, utter thy plaintive cry amidst the thickets of the celestial world. For the melody of God hath sounded near on every side. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O cockerel of eternity, sound thy call in the forests of the empyrean heaven. For the summoner of God hath cried out from every lofty height. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O concourse of ardent lovers, rejoice in your souls, for the day of separation hath ended, and the covenant hath been fulfilled, and the beloved hath appeared arrayed in sublime and majestic beauty. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
O assemblage of mystic knowers, let your hearts be filled with joy, for the time of remoteness hath passed, and the spirit of certitude hath appeared, and the countenance of the celestial youth hath beamed forth, adorned with the ornament of holiness in the paradise of his name, the Almighty. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
Glorified art thou, O Lord my God. I beseech thee, by thy day, to which thou didst bring forth all other days.
And in a single moment whereof thou didst reckon up the appointed time of all that have been and all that shall be.
Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
And by thy name which thou hast made the sovereign of the kingdom of names and the ruler of all who are in heaven and all who are on earth.
Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
To graciously enable thy servants to dispense with all but thee, to draw nigh unto thee, and to become detached from aught else save thee. Thou verily art the God of power, of might and mercy. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
Enable them then, O my God, to bear witness to thy unity and to testify to thy oneness.
Kindle then within their breasts, O my beloved, the fire of thy love, that it may burn away the mention of aught else, and that they may testify within themselves that from everlasting thou hast dwelt within the inaccessible heights of thine eternity, that thou wert alone, with none beside thee, and that thou wilt continue unto everlasting to be what thou hast ever been. No God is there but thee, the Lord of might and bounty. Praise be to thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
For were thy servants who long to scale the heights of thy unity, to set their hearts upon aught except thee. They could not be reckoned among such as have truly believed, nor would the sign of thy singleness be found within them.
Praise be thee, O thou who art he, O thou besides whom there is none but he.
Glorified art thou, O Lord my God. Such being the case, I implore thee to send down from the clouds of thy mercy that which shall purify the hearts of thine ardent lovers and sanctify the souls of those who adore thee. Raise them up then through thy transcendent power and render them victorious over all who dwell on earth. This indeed is that which thou hast promised thy loved ones through thy word of truth. And we desire to show favor to those who were brought low and in the land, and to make them spiritual leaders among men, and to make of them our hive. Praise be to thee,
O thou who art he, O thou who besides whom there is none but he.
When Bob was 9 years old, he liked to work at his father's shop. But sadly, his father died from a disease called cholera. After his father's death, he worked at his uncle's shop. His uncle loved him very much. The Bob loved to say prayers. He often said he was talking to his grandfather. This meant he was talking to the Prophet Muhammad. The Bob was a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad.
At that time, the people of Iran were awaiting the coming of a new messenger of God. They prayed that he would soon be made manifest, bringing with him a period of peace and justice on earth. Many left their homes in search of the Promised One. On the eve of 23 May 1844, a young man arrived in Shiraz in search of the Promised One. The Bab met him outside the gates of the city and invited him to his home to refresh after his long journey. There, the Bab declared that he was the one whose coming the people were so eagerly awaiting. The word Bab means gate or door. The Bab announced that soon another messenger of God would appear, who would unite all the peoples of the world in one family. The Bab was like a door leading humanity to a new and glorious future, a future that would be made manifest with the coming of Baha'u'llah.
Our study of Book 4 has been a special journey. I enjoy coming together to read the stories and to reflect on the experiences of early Baha'is. One of the things that has been really special to me is how the stories stay with me throughout the day, and they fertilize how I show up in my experiences. And one of them really stood out to me, which was the story of Baha'u'llah's father speaking of his dream of his son, and the love you could feel in the story, even with all the unknown and uncertainty around who his son would be and what his journey would be, was absolutely beautiful.
Wake now, dreamers, it is time. It is past midnight when you startle awake. He is gone and you go searching in the dark. Look there, at the mountain base in the midnight dark. You see his figure, standing there alone, his arms aloft. And now you are both in the room upstairs. He floats up into the air, bathed in light. Are you awake or asleep? Are you dream or dreamer? But hear the sweet tones of his lilting voice. If you could only make out the words. And do you see the tears streaming down his cheeks? So, I've been in a Book 4 study circle with some great friends here in Decatur, Georgia, and we were all really transfixed by the story of Mullah Hussein arriving in Shiraz and meeting a young man who invites him to his home to refresh himself. And what ensues in that upstairs room, where Mullah Hussein gradually hears that this is the promised one. And that moment when he hears this commentary on the Surah of Joseph, and he knows this is it, this is the promised one I was searching for. And this made me very curious, and I think a lot of us read other stories and details about the Bab's life. And even as a child, over and over, people recounted stories of seeing the Bab in a garden, alone in a room, in the distance, at the base of a mountain, often after a long day of journeying, by himself, deep and fervent prayer, and how often people noticed tears streaming down his face. At first, I imagined perhaps these tears were tears of pain and sorrow. After all, the Bab could see all the past and all the future and knew all the torment and difficulties that would befall his followers and his loved ones. But the more we studied together and the more we read, I gradually understood that these tears were not tears of sorrow and sadness, but these tears were tears of joy, for the Bab was communing directly with God. And the incredible ecstatic pleasure of that connection and how that carried out on how the Bab lived and spread the message. And so I wanted to write a poem to capture this understanding and what it would feel like to see the gate being opened. From underneath you glimpse a brilliant pillar of pure light, and the light is his face, calm and smiling, and you see his tears are tears of joy, sparkling with the light of the million stars above, reflecting light back and forth from each to each in a never-ending glow. You are awake now. The dream is past. The door is open, and from the other side spills forth such light as you have never seen.
There are many noble and admirable causes in the world, and they arise from particular perspectives, each with its own merit. Is the cause of Baha'u'llah merely one amongst them? Or is it universal, embodying the highest ideals of all humanity? After all, a cause that is to be the wellspring of enduring justice and peace, not for one place or one people, but for all places and all peoples, must be inexhaustible, must possess a heavenly vitality that allows it to transcend all limitations and encompass every dimension of the life of humanity. Ultimately, it must have the power to transform the human heart. Then let us, like the Bob's guest, observe attentively. Does not the cause of Baha'u'llah possess these very qualities? Universal House of Justice, October 2019.
This is a prayer revealed by the Bab. Is there any remover difficulties? Say God, say praise be God, He is God, and all His servants and all by His bidding.
Thank you for joining us at the program for the Declaration of the Bab for the Baha'i House of Worship for North America. And thank you to all our participants for your contributions from home during this period of safe distancing. Good night.